We don't want to see your face again, my mom snapped during a family Zoom call. Then you'll never see my money again, I replied, while cutting off their mortgage, tuition funds, and grocery cards. We don't want to see your face again, my mom snapped through the laptop screen. Her voice didn't shake. It sliced. Dad sat behind her, arms folded, pretending to be calm, but clearly waiting for me to beg. Ava was there too, half leaning on the counter, sipping coffee like she was watching a show she'd already seen the ending of. The screen flickered between us, me alone in my one-bedroom apartment, them together in the house I paid for. You're not welcome here anymore, Mom said. You've made your choices. Now live with them. Her tone was final, rehearsed. I didn't argue. I'd learned years ago that arguing in my family just meant giving them more weapons. So I said quietly, Then you'll never see my money again. The room went silent. Even through a screen I could feel it. Dad's eyes twitched. Mom's mouth opened, then shut. Ava laughed softly like a mean child. You wouldn't, she said. You need us. I leaned forward, looking straight into the camera. Do I? Click. The call ended. For a few seconds, I stared at my reflection in the dark screen. A man who'd spent his 20s paying for other people's mistakes. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. They thought I was bluffing. But every bill, every loan, every payment was under my name. My name's William Cross, 27, the quiet one. The one who fixes everything no one else wants to touch. I'm not dramatic. I'm not loud. My silence used to make them feel safe. Safe enough to walk all over me. When Dad's business failed, I sold my car to pay off his debt. When Mom's credit score tanked, I took the mortgage under my name. When Ava wanted a fresh start in college, I wired her tuition, every cent. They called it family helping family. But it wasn't help. It was servitude, disguised as love. Every time I asked for honesty, they gave me guilt instead. Don't be selfish, Will. You're supposed to look after family. You're lucky we let you be part of things. Lucky, that word followed me like a curse. But the truth is, I wasn't lucky, I was useful. And when useful people stop serving, they become disposable. The family. Dad, Robert Cross, 58, once proud, now bitter. He speaks like every sentence owes him applause. He used to call me kiddo. Now he calls me that boy. Mom, Elaine, 54, her tears are like currency. She spends them when the truth gets too close. She's mastered the art of crying and blaming at the same time. Ava, 25, the golden child. Funny in public, venomous in private. She once told me, "You're not like us, Will. You make things heavier." I remember that line more than any insult. That day on the Zoom call, their faces said everything. They weren't grieving the loss of me. They were panicking about the loss of control. And then Ava slipped. She said something about the house transfer before Mom cut her off. I replayed that moment again and again. I realized they'd been planning something long before our fight. Something with my name on it. 3 days later, my phone buzzed. Mom, the bank called, her text said. Mortgage bounced. Fix it. No greeting. No question. Just an order. I replied, Not my house anymore. Her response came faster than the typing dots could blink. You're doing this out of spite, after all we did for you. I laughed bitterly. All they did for me? When I was 19, I worked night shifts at a warehouse so Ava could buy designer prom shoes. When Dad's back surgery bill came, I maxed out my own insurance to cover his... They called it temporary. Temporary turned into 7 years. That night, I got an email from the bank. Change of ownership confirmed. My name had been removed from the property deed. No authorization, no consent, nothing. The signature on the form was mine, except it wasn't. Someone had forged it. I drove down the next morning, 4 hours straight. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was the shame that made it shrink. Dad was in the driveway, pretending to fix the truck I paid for. Mom was waiting by the porch, tears ready. Why did you change the title? I asked. We didn't, Mom said too fast. Ava came out holding a mug. It's just paperwork, Will. You're overreacting. You forged my signature, I said, low but steady. Dad straightened, face tight. We needed to secure the loan. You weren't answering. You left us no choice. So, fraud was your choice? Don't use big words, son, he snapped. You're not better than us. That one landed harder than I expected. Mom stepped forward. We're your family, Will. Why would you turn on us? Because you already turned on me, I said. I left a folder on the porch, copies of every transfer, loan, and payment they'd hidden under my name. Ava's smile faded when she saw the paper on top, the one proving Dad's fake signature. Sometimes I think my whole childhood was just practice for being ignored. At 12, Dad told me, don't talk back. People don't like smart-mouth kids. At 16, when I got accepted into a writing program, Mom said, that's cute, but your sister's graduation is the real priority. Every achievement of mine was nice, every mistake, a family crisis. When Dad had his so-called heart attack, I took a loan in my name to cover the bills. I found out years later, there were no medical records. It wasn't a heart attack, it was a bankruptcy cover-up. The humiliation hit me like cold air. I remembered being 22, crying in my car outside the hospital, thinking I'd saved him, and he'd let me believe that lie. Ava knew. She'd signed as witness. She'd looked me in the eye and said, you're doing the right thing, Will. It all came crashing down one night when I checked my email, a notice from the bank. Ava had applied for a credit card, using my SSN. That's when I realized it wasn't just Mom and Dad, they'd taught Ava the same game. So I called the bank, then a lawyer. One quiet decision, and their entire world shifted. Within a week, the mortgage froze. The truck got repossessed. The tuition fund, gone. Mom called 23 times in 2 days. When I finally answered, her voice cracked. You're destroying us, William. No, Mom, I said. I'm just stopping the lie. The next morning, the family group chat exploded. Ava, you think you're better than us. Dad, ungrateful brat. Mom, you'll regret this. I didn't reply. 2 weeks later, Mom showed up at my apartment. Same perfume, same rehearsed sadness. We made mistakes, but this is cruel, William. We're your parents. Parents protect, I said. You profited. Her lips trembled. We raised you. No, you drained me. Dad's voice came from the hallway, louder. All this because of money? You're pathetic. It was never about money, I said. It's about respect, something you never gave me. Ava stood behind them, quiet for once. When I looked at her, she couldn't meet my eyes. I gave you all my silence, I told them. Tonight, I give you the truth. Mom sobbed. Dad called me ungrateful again. I turned to leave. That's when Ava whispered, barely audible. I didn't know about the loan. Mom told me to sign. Her voice broke, and for a second, I almost pitied her. Almost. I didn't slam the door. I didn't shout. I just picked up my jacket and said, you'll figure it out. You always do, when someone else pays the price. Mom reached for my hand. I stepped back. Dad muttered, family is forever. Not this kind, I said. When I got in my car, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired eyes, calm jaw, no tears. For the first time, I looked like myself. Halfway down the road, my phone buzzed. Ava, Willa, maybe you were right. I didn't reply. Some things don't need answers. I drove until the house disappeared from my mirror, and for once, I didn't look back. Weeks later, the house was gone, foreclosed, the truck, repossessed. I thought I'd feel guilty. I didn't. I started sleeping through the night again, cooking for myself, reading, breathing. Then one day a letter came. From Mom. A single page. We didn't know how much we needed you until you left. No apology, no love, just a quiet confession of dependence. I folded it, placed it in a drawer, not out of hatred, but peace. Sometimes letting go is love, the kind they never gave back. I looked out my window that night and whispered, For the first time, I don't carry your weight anymore. My phone buzzed. Ava again. I'm sorry, her message said. I didn't reply, but this time I smiled. Mini hook. Silence finally felt like freedom, not punishment. If you were in my place, would you forgive them? Or would you walk away for good? Tell me in the comments. Your voice matters. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's strength that's finally done apologizing. Like if you felt William's pain. Subscribe for more stories about strength, family, and finding peace. Remember, the quiet ones aren't empty. They're just full of truths no one wanted to hear.